Hi everybody, it's Mike here from TwoDads. So I'm joined today. Well, firstly, I'm not joined by Wes because timed this horrendously with Duke's nap. So typically Duke is screaming the place down upstairs. So Wes isn't here for this first part, but he may join us and he's going to be gutted because we have both been really looking forward to this episode. So as we know, series 2 is all about 19 parenting crises. And in this series, we want to talk to other parents about how they've coped during lockdown, what got us through it. For us, it was shitloads of wine, but it's about just talking to others about what was lockdown like for you. And we're talking to a number of our favorite people off the gram and also people that have a close affiliation to our community too. Today is a good one. So I am absolutely thrilled to be talking to Freddy, who you may have seen. I know if you've seen Seahorse, you're going to know who this guy is. He's also a writer and journalist, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Freddy. How you doing?
Hello.
How are things?
Yep, they're very well. Very well. A nice sunny day.
I know it does look quite sunny where you are. So,
Big blinded, but it's fine.
I know you're a busy guy. I'm just thrilled that you're giving us some time today. So, firstly, thank you so much. For those that are watching that maybe haven't followed all of your story or yet seen Seahorse, can you just introduce that to us, please?
Sure. Well, I guess I'm a trans man and I am a journalist, like you said, and I started my transition just kind of when I started my career, actually, about 8 years ago, and believed at that point that that would mean I would no longer have biologically related kids. That's kind of what we're told. I think that's what we're still told, even though we now know that's not true. It's kind of what doctors just will default to telling people like me. And then a few years later found out that wasn't true because there were some trans guys on YouTube sharing their experience of pregnancy. Then I spent a while getting to the point of feeling like maybe I could do that myself, and then decided that is how I would start my family by myself. I don't have a partner, but that was always something I kind of felt like I would end up doing anyway, because I'm still quite an independent person, and the idea of single parenthood always kind of appealed to me. And also at the time I did think that I was still a bit unsure about the consequences of testosterone. It's so hard to actually get proper medical advice about this kind of stuff. I did think that maybe I'm not infertile, but maybe I would become infertile over time. So I thought, okay, I need to do this right now. And then decided, because I'm a journalist, that I wanted to try to share that experience in a documentary to show that like people like me are out there, and to show people like me that they could do this too, and also to show that you could tell a story about a trans person that seemed like quite a sensational story on the surface, but actually wasn't and didn't need to be, and could be done in a really sensitive, sweet way. So that happened in 2018, and now my kid is almost 2.5.
Great age.
He's great, yeah.
And then where are you at now then? So I've seen, if I'm right, that Seahorse is actually looking to be released in the States. So is that next week?
Yeah, so we were at Tribeca Film Festival in like over a year ago now, and just the way these things happen, I guess, like I'm kind of new to this feature documentary world, but yeah, so all these months later, it's getting released in the US on the week of Father's Day. So 16th of June, it's out to stream and to buy and to rent in loads of places, and then it's Father's Day that Sunday. So that's really sweet.
Wow.
Sunday, but yeah, whenever Father's Day is.
Phenomenal. And how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it's also going to be in Canada actually next week, I should say.
Okay, cool.
As well. Yeah, I feel, such a while ago now for me personally that it's been a while since I saw the film, and which is helpful because it's really, it is intense to have that story out there. So I like having a little bit of distance from it.
Yeah.
But I also know from my experience of it being out in the UK that, you know, I'm just kind of getting ready for a whole load more wonderful feedback, which is such an amazing position to be in. You know, there is negativity out there, but I find it quite easy to avoid. I don't go looking for it. So yeah, I love hearing from people that have seen it and how it's, you know, resonated with them, no matter who they are. It's such a broad range of reactions from trans folk like me, or people with trans kids, or just like straight cis folk who are like, wow, I didn't think I would relate to this, but I totally did. You know, it's just about a life, really. So yeah, I'm excited.
No, and rightly so. I think, you know, we watched it and just emotionally were blown away. And you know, a lot of the work that I do is within the fertility world anyway. So in terms of fertility preservation, I thought I was kind of clued up. But you know, if anyone that hasn't seen it, it takes you on a complete journey, and I think it's a beautiful piece of film, Freddie. We were totally bought into it, and I think, you know, as a cis man, there was a lot I needed to know, and it really educated me and my husband. And I think it came at a point as well, which I think was really needed to bring communities together. So we're fans of it. I think it's a beautiful film.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, and also, you know, full credit, I always want to say to Jeannie Finley, the director. It's really her storytelling skill and prowess that makes it what it is. I just waffled away, and she managed to piece it together in a way that would communicate with a broad audience and made it into this, like, you know, yeah, like I say, sort of small story about something extraordinary. Yeah.
No, that it does. That it absolutely does. Okay, so let's talk about lockdown then. Tell me, how has it been for you?
Well, you know, it's kind of awkward. I feel so lucky to live where I do. We live in a small town on the coast. We are literally a 2-minute walk from the beach, which is a big, long miles of stony beach. So, you know, it's very easy to be spaced out, and amazing options for our, like, as our daily walk as it was, or now our sort of whenever we want to go out kind of thing. We do have a garden, and yeah, it's just the two of us. So we're pretty flexible in terms of, I mean, I can be pretty flexible in terms of just doing what we needed to do in those early stages to get through, and sort of try to embrace it, I guess, and like make the best of it. It's been strange. Early on, my parents, actually, who I rely on a lot, obviously my kids' grandparents, were in Spain, so that was a bit nerve-wracking for a while. We weren't sure whether they'd be able to make it back, but they did, and that meant that, like, literally my whole close family was nearby as well, because we all live in the same town.
Perfect.
So yeah, we've been discovering like the Ghibli films on Netflix. That's been amazing. Love them. Yeah.
I'm going to come on to talk about some other things that you probably did in lockdown as well. I've noticed you've been doing a lot of baking. You've been doing some fitness. You know, whereas I'm just eating and drinking. You're putting me to shame.
The baking that I'm doing.
Yeah, true. Yeah. You've touched on family, which and again, when you watch the film, there's that beautiful connection, which tells me that, you know, family is clearly important to you. Is that what's got you through this? And I think generally you've enjoyed lockdown. You know, you've had that time to connect and to be with your child. So is that what's got you through this period?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was that stage. There was a long time where we couldn't necessarily be with family, or, you know, we even though they were 2 minutes away, we were Zooming and yeah, having to, or like standing on the doorstep kind of thing. So, I mean, I guess it's always going to be reassuring to know that they are nearby, right? And that was why we wanted my parents to come back from Spain, even though they would have probably been safe there. We just kind of wanted everyone to be near. I think what's got me through lockdown is like, to a large extent, my son, who
Yeah.
has just been such a joy to be around. It is such an amazing age. Like you say, they're not old enough to really be affected as far as I can tell, or even be aware of what's going on. But he's just had a language explosion as well, which has just been great timing. So it's been so much fun. And I think I'm one of those people who, I don't know if you've heard other people say this, but like, I'm an anxious person. So when something really serious and quite big and scary happens, I tend to react with like calm. It's one of the rare times when I actually feel calmer than usual, in a kind of odd way, because well, actually this is a crisis, so I kind of know what to do now. I'm good. I can focus, and everything just becomes simplified and sort of scaled down. And actually it's normal life that I find overwhelming.
I can totally relate to, because you've almost had it broken down for you. You've just got to put yourself into that situation because of what we're in. It's a lot of the decisions have been made for you. So it's, I can understand that.
And as a parent, it's even more acute and heightened, because it's like, now I just have this one thing to focus on. And so I didn't have any of that sense of like boredom, or, I've run out of books to read. It's like, I haven't picked up a book in the past 2 months. I mean,
Amazing. No, I can totally, we've totally got that in terms of homed in on the kids, and that's what the focus has been. Like you, as are also now back at nursery, but that's also having a great impact and effect on ours. Something that I've been asking everybody, and I've been really intrigued about, so it might seem a bit of a left field question, but what has been your soundtrack to lockdown? What has got you through it musically? What have your ears been tantalized with?
Well, I guess I should say I'm a bit of obviously I'm a podcast fanatic, so I don't listen to as much music as I often do.
No, God, podcast is cool. Tell me what podcast has been getting you through it.
Oh God. All of them. I really love, there's a podcast that Greg James does with Jimmy Anderson, the England bowler, and another friend of theirs, a musician called Felix White. And it's a cricketing podcast, and so I'm not sure how appealing that's going to be to anyone else. But it is really, really good. It's sort of tangentially about cricket. They do talk about cricket a little bit, but it's mostly just, I hate this word, but there is no other word for it. It's mostly just banter, and it's really warm-hearted and big-hearted, and it's not blokey at all. It sounds like it's going to be totally blokey, but it's not. It's just and it's not really escapism either, because it's very much kind of in the here and now, and they talk about how they've been getting through, and it's very British, I suppose. So and hard to describe, but that is such a joy. And actually, I mean, we're listening to a lot of the Lion King soundtrack whenever there is music on the Lion King soundtrack. And one album that was released at the beginning of lockdown, which I don't know if other people might have come across, because it's been really just like on point for the lockdown mood, is Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple. Kind of random thing. But I don't know. I've never been a fan of Fiona Apple, but it is.
I'm scribbling that down.
Yeah. Recorded it all in her own house, I think, by herself, more or less, and it definitely captured a mood for me.
Oh yeah, and clearly strikes a chord at the minute. I think that's one I will check out. And as for Greg James, I love his humor, so I think I can kind of see how he's just he just seems a real good guy, and just is so metro about everything. And I like that humor, so I'm going to check out both, because
it's called Tail Enders, the podcast, I should have said.
Okay, cool. That is on the pad. The pad. So this period then, has it highlighted anything to you in terms of how you maybe parent, or how life generally you've adjusted? Have you learned anything from these last 2 months?
I guess it's just, yeah, with the positive side of it that I've been describing, that's a real lesson
Mhm.
in like how simple, life can be, and how simple happiness can be to attain, sort of thing. Like how important it is to not just sort of go along, let life kind of just sort of hurry you along and just be like, oh, well, I suppose this is just the way it has to be, kind of thing. Like it's been that sense I had that, or I've always had, that I sort of, I really enjoy simplicity and like, yeah, a reminder to not lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be, but
No, I know, and I think a lot of people have said similar things. You learn to live with less, and you learn to appreciate more. I think is what is really profound about this period. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and for us, that's like really just translated in simple ways of like, which I hope it can continue. Like even just having a blanket on the sofa
Mhm.
to snuggle under, even if it's like
Yeah.
nice weather. That doesn't need to be a winter thing. Like that needs to be something
No.
you do all the time.
Love that. I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, for sure. And real lazier days we've had.
yeah,
And it's just the snuggles have just got better
yeah,
because we can still be in our pajamas at 2 p.m.
yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah. And so peak and pit, best and worst part about this period for you?
Oh, best and worst. I guess. Oh man, the best is
Loving how much thought you're putting into it, though, buddy. This is brilliant.
more just like. Oh, it's all been a big blur. The best. I mean, we have really. It's forced me to actually do the things that I've been telling myself to do for ages, like, and the sort of family oriented things, like exploring more local
Mhm,
walks.
mhm.
Like, why is that such a difficult thing to actually do?
I know,
Usually,
it's crazy, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
to-do lists like that are so simple, and then something like this where the decks are cleared and you finally do it. So that's been wonderful.
That's good.
Yeah, some local woods that I've
Yeah,
always
no.
been there but just never been to. That's been great. Maybe the one of the downsides has been exhausting vivid dreams.
Really?
Yeah, just every night. It's just
Wow.
exhausting, and because we haven't got nursery to get up early for, and I haven't got sort of work commitments to get up early for. Like I'd usually go to London a few times a week and that kind of thing. Getting up later and later and going to bed later, getting into
Yeah.
bed like that again, and then having these bizarre, exhausting dreams.
Wow.
Quite an
Wow.
experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay, so
won't explain them because that's the most boring thing in the world.
no, I'm just gonna let it go. I can see it's troubling you, mate. So we're not gonna go there. That's the second episode. Freddy's dreams.
Yeah.
So that's series 3. We're going to dedicate an entire series to you. Look, I know you've got things to rush off to as well, and I'm thrilled that we've had this time. So I've enjoyed it. So thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Let's just remind people about your podcast or anything else that's coming up potentially that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, Pride and Joy is the podcast. It sounds like I'm just plugging myself, but like genuinely the best way to keep up with anything to do with those things is my Instagram, which is Freddy McConnell. And there's nothing I can say concretely about it at the moment, so it's sort of just a bit of a tease, but I do have a picture book coming out next year, probably now at this point. So that's super exciting because
Interesting.
it's going to be an inclusive, representative picture book about a family. And I won't go into any more detail, but
no, looking forward to it already. Wicked. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad that you agreed to this because I think just loving everything, and it's so nice to speak to a single dad that's just managing lockdown and seems to be doing better than me. You are coping much better. You're looking much sharper.
very good lighting. I'm a weirdo. I just, if I could be a full-time dad, then I would.
Well, you're clearly you're smashing it, mate. So look, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. I'll hopefully see you soon.
Nice one. Thanks very much, Mike.
Take it easy, Freddie. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you've seen so far, head over to our website at www.twodaddies.co.uk. There you can read our blog and subscribe to our newsletter. Or find us on Facebook and Instagram, simply searching at twodads.u.k.